extreme.
Oh, that is just devastating.
What is going on? Oh no. See, I guess fate just wanted us to have a really exciting top 8 here. That is
not an exciting one at all.
Yeah, that is very true, Kyle. Mixing it up, you know, that is going to be absolutely devastating to see for Andre, I'm sure, when he actually gets to search through the deck.
Oh, yeah, that's... Especially going second, it's really rough.
Oh, no.
One of your main things you want to do with the Mew VMAX deck going second is power up Meloetta so you can do a big attack. Well, that's not going to be an option. Ondrej, our player on the left, will be going first, and this is one of these crucial cards in this matchup, Path to the Peak. He's playing 4 copies of Path to the Peak and 4 Marnie. So even though there's no Darkness-type Pokemon to hit for weakness against this deck, he is fully prepared for this matchup. You know, Path to the Peak plus Marnie is one of the things that can completely derail the Mew VMAX deck, which is typically ultra consistent, able to use all these Fusion Strike system abilities. But when you can't use your abilities, everything goes downhill real fast.
All right, and we are starting off with a Cramomatic. Let's see if it's a heads, discarding that power tablet as well, which is
off the table.
Yeah, it's off the table.
Ooh.
Oh, it is going to be a tails. Definitely not something you want to see, especially at the start of a turn, because of course you want that battle VIP pass when you are playing this Rotom phone.
This is a disaster. Everything was riding on that Cramomatic. I don't think Andre has anything.
Oh no.
We just see the Rotom phone.
There's a Pokemon in hand, but I can't see.
Yeah, it's a Genesect,
what
but there's just normally you're hoping for an explosive turn. You fill up your bench, you play all the battle VIP passes, you do all that stuff, put yourself in a position to attack. There's just going to be nothing. Even if the opponent didn't put a Path to the Peak in play, this hand is so bad it may not have mattered.
That is very true. Wow, so this actually could be over a lot sooner than we may have thought, Kyle, which would
Andre might not ever find out that there were 2 Meloetta prizes.
That's true. Oh, no. Oh, that would be absolutely devastating to see, but that might actually be how this turns out. We'll see here. Like Kyle said, that Path to the Peak is just so...
Ugly start.
No. All right. So, yeah, that is definitely probably one of the roughest starts Andre could have asked for in this matchup. And we are over onto Ondrej's side now. 2 Arceus V in play, double Turbo Energy in play, I believe, from the last turn already as well. And we are starting with the Ultra Ball, discarding 2 cards here. Actually discarding one of the Path to the Peaks and a Bibarel as well to the Ultra Ball. So again, there is 4 in deck, unless any of them are in the prize cards. So being able to search out any Pokemon right now from the deck for Ondrej.
Yeah, so we've seen the Japanese players come with a similar build of this Arceus V-Star. There's lots of similarities, you know, Arceus, Flying Pikachu, and the Hisuian Decidueye. Where the big divergence is Ondrej decided to play Bibarel for extra draw support, whereas, you know, Daichi and Ryota used the Jolteon with Memory Capsule. So against specifically Palkia, I would guess those decks are much better suited, but in most other matchups, you would much rather have the draw engine, the support from the Bibarel. So an interesting build. It's fascinating that, you know, they came to kind of similar conclusions, but just kind of split off at that point.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, when you're going against something that is not a Palkia, like you said, Kyle, it's kind of some dead cards there with the Eevee, the Jolteon, the Memory Capsule as well, which would be discard fodder. But wow, we are going to see a research.
Okay, so there was really, really big contemplation there of whether or not to use Pumpkaboo's Pumpkin Pit to discard the Path to the Peak. That way you guarantee yourself Star Birth and guarantee that you get an attack off this turn.
That is definitely a difficult decision.
Ondrej just decided, you know what, my opponent's hand is so bad, why would I even bother getting rid of the Path to the Peak? Even if I miss an attack this turn, it's fine. But played Professor's Research, found an energy and a switch, so we're going to see an attack.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, that might actually be a-okay. I mean, especially if you think about it, so a Path to the Peak was already discarded here. The Pumpkaboo's now in the discard pile off of that research, and a Path to the Peak's already in play. So I would assume Ondrej probably wants to make sure that there are enough stadium to kind of keep that pressure on with the Mew VMAX as well. Make sure that those abilities are just continuously cut off for Ondrej as well, to just put Ondrej in the best position to be in too. So that may have also been a part of it. Why bump one when, you know, I'm already kind of down a couple. So we are just going to see the Trinity Nova here. So that 180 damage because of the slight nerf on the damage from that double turbo energy, but also allowing you to accelerate 3 basic energy as well to a Pokemon V. We saw those 2 fighting and an electric energy put onto the board for Ondrej onto that benched Arceus V-Star. So still a very strong spot to be in for Ondrej, even without the Starbirth ability.
Yeah, the silver lining for André is that the Genesect was not knocked out. And yeah, knew that the Rose Tower was on top because of the Rotom phone. And all right, we're going to see a Rose Tower. All right, 3 cards. Can at least get going now. Counter the Path to the Peak. You get the Rose Tower. Now you can start to use those Fusion Strike systems. And now you can find out that all of your Meloetta are prized.
Oh no. That is so rough, Kyle. I actually thought about it. It's that is just so devastating. But I guess we will see what happens here. Another Rotom phone from André. So looking at the top 5 cards, and you are able to choose one, put it at the top. And it's just such a great card in this deck, because when you are able to draw more cards with your Fusion Strike abilities off of the Genesects, lining up your top card is definitely a plus there for sure. So that is what we're seeing from André. And, you know, André, again, has so much experience behind this deck. As you said, Kyle has been playing it for the entire season. This wasn't just a consistency comfort deck for André. This is, I know this deck in and out. You know, I perfected my exact 60 list. I am so comfortable with Mew VMAX to the point where I made it into top 8 with it throughout this entire tournament. So André definitely navigating this to the best of their ability for sure. So we are going to see that first Fusion Strike system off the active Genesect here. 2 cards.
All right, I think there's a quick ball in those 3 cards. So we are, I think, about to see some devastation off of
oh, no.
a quick ball.
Yeah, we might need the face cam on this one, honestly.
Okay, looks like just an attachment to the Genesect V. So maybe just conceding the fact that there will not be an attack this turn.
Okay, there's another quick ball, Mew VMAX, and a boss's orders.
Also a choice belt on the Genesect V, so André might be planning an attack with this Genesect.
Quick ball discarding the Mew VMAX here to search out a basic Pokemon from the deck. Yeah, definitely putting that energy on the Genesect V is interesting. Not something you see too often from Mew players, but that is the route André is choosing to take here. So still searching through the deck. Oh, this is it. This is it.
Oh no.
This is the no Meloettas.
Oh,
I would love to see André's face right now, because I am sure it is, yeah. That is, yeah, just the squint there. Of course, you don't want to give away too much information to your opponent. Obviously, if you look very devastated looking through your deck, you kind of reveal, oh, I have some difficult things in my prizes, but also not seeing a Meloetta drawn off of this might actually just be known already. So it is, yeah, just going through.
This is one of those, you look through your deck like 5 times, you're like,
oh, I've done that many times.
Where is it? Oh, really, both of them? No, maybe,
like,
maybe a card was stuck together or something. Oh,
yeah.
No, they're both gone, okay.
Oh. Just looking, searching for it, but never being able to find it. No, Meloetta, just when we needed you the most. Just quick ball discarding the boss's orders here, searching through again. Able to get another basic Pokemon, of course. Not going to be the Meloetta, but...
I think a Genesect might be prized as well.
Oh,
just brutal. Because there's 3 in play. I would assume you would grab a 4th one here.
Oh, yeah, look at this. Yeah. Here we go. Just 2 Meloettas, a Genesect, a Mew VMAX, when one's already been discarded as well, Kyle. Elisa Sparkle, and a double turbo. Wow, those prize cards. Oh, you hate to see it, so especially when you are a Mew VMAX player and those are your prize cards.
If Andre manages to win this game, it will be legendary.
That would be extremely legendary. Okay, we are going to see another Fusion Strike system off of this Genesect V on the bench. The slight rotation of the Genesect just kind of shows that it's been activated already for that Fusion Strike system, just so you don't reuse it again. So drawing into several more cards there for Andre, but really still having to map out and navigate through this matchup. Now knowing what the deck knowledge is, what's in the prize cards for Andre. Just trying to decide how do I get around this, especially when you know you're playing against Ondrej, who's playing heavy disruption, heavy path to the peak as well. We are going to see an escape rope, I believe, here from Andre, deciding now what to promote from Ondrej's side, or Ondrej deciding what to promote.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. It's almost like a bluff.
True.
And yeah, Ondrej is just a little too scared of what could happen and decides to throw out the Bidoof instead of the Arceus V-Star. I don't think it could have been in any danger this turn. So yeah, this could be a gambit that's paid off. You know, if Ondrej isn't able to find a way to retreat the Bidoof next turn, then this could buy Andre a crucial turn.
Yeah, that is very true. It's a little bit of psychological tactics here, Kyle. But I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do in these circumstances. Play to your outs at all points in time. So just throwing it up to your opponent, hey, here's an escape rope, make a decision, and then it's kind of on your opponent to be like, oh, okay, let me see what I think is going to happen here. And definitely, yeah, just choosing to promote the Bidoof here instead. So playing a little bit more defensively. But, oh, we are going to see the evolution off of the Ultra Ball, discarding that Quick Ball.
Yep.
And I believe what is the Decidueye IV as well, I think, is what that is.
Yeah, it got Ultra Balled away, yeah.
Yeah, it got Ultra Balled away.
Lots of cards being drawn here. Rose Tower going to be first.
Yeah, definitely great sequencing as well, remembering, oh, Rose Tower's in play, so let me use it here to draw 3 cards into my hand.
Immediately found the double turbo, so retreating, that's not going to be any issue this turn. There's going to be an attack for sure. And now Andres just trying to figure out what's the best course of action here. I think maybe just perfect cards here. Is there a boss's orders in hand as well? Can just target down the Genesect V that's got all the energy, knock it out with the Trinity Nova. Just so many options available. The only danger to that is then you're not putting a path to the peak in play, but hey, Andres just saying, all right, let's go after the thing that has energy.
Yeah, that's true.
One of the biggest threats in this matchup is your opponent getting all 4 Fusion Strike energy in play and then attacking with that Meloetta, hitting for 280 damage. That's one of the clean ways you can knock out an Arceus V-Star. So eliminating your opponent's Fusion Strike energy from play can be a really safe strategy just to make sure that they can't get one-hit knockouts.
Yeah, and really it would be knocking out the Fusion Strike energy, the Choice Belt, and another draw supporter, the Genesect itself. So I think that definitely is a good decision here from Ondrej for sure, but still thinking through all these actions. I mean, you have to think Ondrej is looking at a board state that he's probably not too familiar looking with playing against a Mew VMAX. Like, what is going on here? Is there some sort of strategy I'm not seeing? You know, so Ondrej still having to make sure that every decision is the correct one in this match. And also, you know, as we see here, looking through the discard pile for Andre as well, that's going to be huge for this matchup, making sure that you're checking your opponent's discard pile, seeing what resources they've already burned to their cards as well is very big for the Mew VMAX. All right, so we are going to see that knockout here, the Trinity Nova knocking out that Genesect V with all of those attachments on it as well, the energy and the choice belts too. So taking those 2 prize cards and being able to accelerate energy from the deck, which is also huge for this too. Just lining up your board state as well as you possibly can to have recovery positions for the future of what you don't even know is really going on right now, but making sure that you're just lining up your board here is very important. Flying Pikachu V and a Fighting Energy being taken from the prize cards. Andre promoting a Mew V into the active position. And we're over on that side now.
Yeah, the really unfortunate thing for Andre is that he's already used a Choice Belt and a Power Tablet. There's really not going to be a lot of ways to reach for one-hit knockouts at this point.
I think it was actually 2 Power Tablets, Kyle. I think I saw 2 discarded.
Yeah, one I think got discarded to the Cram-O-Matic on the first turn. So it's really hard to trade at this point. The big advantage of the Mew VMAX deck is getting out to the aggressive starts, knocking out a V before it evolves into a V-Star. And when you're just on the back foot like this, and you've already burned through resources, and your prize cards are horrible, I just don't really know how Andre can get to a victory in this game. And I don't love to call games early, but this one looks really rough.
The player who sits in the right chair must just be in the unlucky chair, honestly, Kyle, at this point. This is the prize card.
It has been a trend, huh?
Yeah, a little bit here. I'm getting superstitious here.
Cursed seat.
Yes, absolutely. But again, this is a best of 3. Yeah. So things could really turn around in another game. You never know what's going to happen, but Andre's still playing this out. As we've mentioned a couple of times before, there is more time in this match than the players have had yesterday, earning their way to this point. So definitely just thinking out your actions here.
Yeah, I think the only real out to victory I can see at this point is playing Boss's Orders every single turn for the rest of the game.
Oh, no.
You Boss's Orders off the Arceus this turn. You need 1 damage modifier, but you can get the knockout there. There's
That's
an
true.
Echoing Horn. You can get something like the Hisuian Decidueye V. That's easy to knock out. Boss's Orders that, and then you can get your last one with your remaining Power Tablets and Choice Belt. So I think that might have to be your only way to try to line up a win at this point.
Yeah, definitely, especially Ondrej actually still has access to the V-Star ability too, to Starbirth.
Yeah,
so
there's going to be a Marnie plus Path to the Peak at some point.
Yeah,
it's going to be a long road ahead for Andre, but hey, you got to play your outs when you can.
Yeah, I mean, when you're in contention to make top 4 here, you're gonna play it out. So until you see there's absolutely no way, you want to make sure you play out everything, and you're super sure that you're gonna. Oh,
Big Cram-O-Matic. That one's a heads.
This one is a heads. Cram-O-Matic discarding that Ultra Ball. So able to search for any card in the deck here.
Okay, there is 1 double turbo left. That's what I was looking for. So yeah, you need the double turbo energy this turn. There's 1 Power Tablet you can use. And then a Boss's Orders can bring up that benched Arceus V for a 2 prize knockout. I think that's got to be where you're starting this turn.
Yeah, we want to at least see an attack. That's for sure.
It's got to be an attack for a knockout at this point.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. So definitely going with that double turbo here off of the Cram-O-Matic. That was an extremely important Cram-O-Matic actually for Andre.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you can definitely see Andre, I'm sure, so nervous playing this match right now and being on such a in such a back foot position as well. Quick Ball discarding a Fusion Energy.
Yep.
And then just, I believe, failing it, just shuffling, you know, making sure you thin down your hand, discard cards, because you want to draw into the cards you actually want for this turn. It's going to be very important. As you said, we need a couple of pieces to make sure that we can get a knockout here for Andre. So allowing yourself to access all those pieces and give yourself the best chance to do that is so important. So we are going to see the energy attached to that active Mew VMAX.
Tower first.
Power Tablet is also used.
Really looking for Boss's Orders.
Okay, there at least is the Ultra Ball, but having to discard the Pumpkaboo for the Ultra Ball, which, I mean, at this point, you have to. You got to do what you got to do as well. So you're running out of options.
There's only 2 Genesect V in play as well, so only 2 chances at the Fusion Strike system. Got to maximize your odds, draw 6 cards here. Yes, you're going to be vulnerable to Path to the Peak, but hey, you can't afford to not take risks at this point. You got to just go all out.
Yep, so here we go. This is pretty huge here. Whew. Fusion Strike system number 2.
Boss's Orders is the card we're looking for.
There is a Cram-O-Matic. No,
Well, here
no
we go.
boss. Oh my gosh, this is just all right. Let's see if this Cramomatic.
Put your faith in the Cramomatic.
Put your faith in. Hey, I mean, if you're a Mew VMAX player, you got to have some faith, I guess, because this is a high roll deck.
Here
So
we go.
let's see. Oh, off the table.
Come on. Oh, it's a heads.
It is a heads. There we
Cramomatic
go.
Pays off.
A little sigh of relief, I'm sure, for André.
Oh, hold
there.
on. Looks like there's actually resources to get a knockout on the active if André wants to go for that route. Can get a choice belt and another power tablet. That's another way to go about this.
Yeah, that's true, because one power tablet is already in play for André
Yep.
as well. We'll have to see what was grabbed off of this. Yeah, that card draw was so important. And I guess, I mean, what you draw into also kind of formulates where you go after that, too. I mean, that's kind of how EVX works. I do see a second power tablet in the hand.
Yeah, so you do need three damage modifiers.
Yes, and
Got
there's a
them
choice
all.
belt. There we go. So we are going to see the knockout here for André. Wow, very stressful, but we did see the payoff there for André. I'm sure a huge sigh of relief, but still kind of an uphill battle, but doing absolutely everything he can in this position to battle back into a prominent leading position and maybe be able to save this game. Especially, I didn't see what was taken off of the prize cards. Did you, Kyle?
I think double turbo and then one of those Meloetta.
There we go, the Meloetta.
The problem here is, if that was an excellent turn, André is doing whatever he can to just stay in the game.
Yeah.
But André still has the opportunity to close the game out first. You know, all it takes from the other side is a couple bosses orders, and it's an easy route to 4 prize cards. So we'll see if André is able to get bosses orders this turn, and then on the following turn, if he's able to do that, then there's no way that André can stop that from happening. So I think at this point, André's just looking through, finds the Luminion V.
There we go.
Which has been seeing a lot more play here at the World Championships. Just a great way to Ultra Ball, essentially for a supporter card. Use that Luminous Sign ability, and maybe hunt down a boss's orders and try to set up this 2-turn win.
Yeah, we did already see the boss's orders kind of put to the top there too. So definitely planning out the strategies here. Usually when you are an Arceus V-Star player, it is very important. Like, that's kind of one of your usual routes to victory, I guess, is navigating those bosses orders and being able to take those consistent knockouts. Because if you're faced up against something that you just don't do enough damage to, like a Mew VMAX, and you're only, you're taking 3 prize cards, and then you have to work through another 3 prize cards or an awkward 2 prize card, 1 prize card sort of situation. It's just much easier and more fluid to take out 2 prize Pokemon, especially if they are the Genesect that dismantle your opponent and their card draw ability.
Yeah, and Andrés is getting rewarded for sequencing this correctly. Wanted to play all the cards out, use Industrious Incisors first to see what he drew. Drew a boss's orders, so this turn he can just play the boss's orders, have the Luminion V for next turn, and is lining up this clear 2-turn victory.
There we go. So just so fluid here in the motions. Andrés, I mean, you could see so much emotion from Andrés as well. Just making sure that all of these decisions are pretty much perfect, because this is so crucial. Even if it looks like you're in some sort of leading position, being able to hold that prize lead and take consistent knocks no matter what happens, so important. And that sequencing was just flawless there from Ondrej. So another 2 prize cards as the reward for that sequencing there. And now we are back over to André. We will see how these fires are going to get put out on André's side, working from a defensive position here. And, that Meloetta is going to come down, but there's also so many fusion energies already in the discard as well, Kyle.
Yeah, it's pretty much double turbo attacks at this point. It's a pretty clear game plan for André at this point, I think. It's just boss's orders a couple times. You need an Echoing Horn. But you boss's orders up the Flying Pikachu, get the knockout there, and then if you get another turn, you can Echoing Horn plus boss's orders for the last knockout. I think the unfortunate news for André is he will not get another turn but really battling back and making it possible to win this game.
Wow.
Is really, or just draw the boss's order, sure.
Oh, yeah, it's just top deck it. There we go.
Yep.
Wow. So, I mean, but Andre taking it down to 2 prize cards still, even working through that uphill battle. I mean, that was so difficult even from the start there for Andre. The cursed prize cards kind of happened there, but was able to bring it down to 2 prize cards. But of course, Ondrej was able to get that boss's orders, that last knockout, and take the 1-0 in this match so far. Look at the time too, Kyle. Still 50 minutes left.
Yeah, games with the Mew VMAX deck don't take very many turns.
That is very true.
Their turns do take a long time, but we'll be able to get through these games, no problem. I think.
Yeah, once you're kind of set up and you're just going through the deck, it definitely can be very quick with the Mew VMAX. But Ondrej definitely navigating through this matchup. I'm sure Ondrej too prepared for this as well. You know, Mew VMAX is one of those decks that you know is a very prominent deck that you need to be able to beat, you know? And so Ondrej knows that that ability is there to be able to take down the Mew VMAX, and being able to do that in this 1-0, which is awesome.
Yep, if you're Andre, I mean, I'm pretty sure you know that there's nothing you could have done differently in that game. It was just a miserable opening hand, miserable prize cards. Still managed to battle back to a position where it was feasible to win, but just didn't work out in that one. Yeah, looking at this matchup, I think if everything goes perfectly for Andre, the Mew VMAX deck is favored, but
yeah,
there's lots of hiccups along the way. You have to deal with Path to the Peak, you have to deal with Marnie in conjunction with that. Sometimes you just prize certain cards, you know, a couple Fusion Strike energy prized here and there, a couple power tablets have to get discarded early. Things can go downhill really quickly, but you can see the power of the Fusion Strike deck. When everything flows perfectly, it is very difficult to beat. It's just, are you going to be able to have everything go your way in the face of all this disruption?
Yeah. It's the bullet train, Kyle. It's the bullet train, you know. Once you get your initial board states set up, you just keep chugging away. It's awesome to see. I mean, it's just such a aggressive deck. Like you really just have to overpower your opponent with Mew VMAX, and that's how you take games. You're just able to make sure that you have those knockouts consistently and have too strong of a board state that even a Path to the Peak can't shut you down, or you're able to bump to the path and just get everything you need out of your deck. Just so much draw support with Mew VMAX. So Ondrej kind of shaking the head here, but Ondrej has also looked so concerned throughout this entire match, but I really do think it's just because you're thinking so hard through all of your plays. So I don't even think it's a necessarily a concern of like, oh man, this hand's bad or something. It's just like, I need to stay focused and I need to stay determined in this match to make sure I have these plays correct. You could just see so much emotion for both these players, you know. Yeah, this is intense.
Yes.
This is very intense. I feel it, Kyle.
For both of these players, certainly the most important match is the Pokemon TCG that they've played in their careers, I would say.
I would say so too.
All right, so Andre did mulligan, had no basic Pokemon in the opening 7, and a second mulligan. That is not something you love to see. Giving your opponent 2 extra cards to start this off. You don't love to do that, especially because the Mew deck does not tend to run anything like Marnie or Roxanne well, Roxanne doesn't matter till later, but you don't usually play things like Marnie to reset hand advantage and things like that. So anytime you mulligan in this kind of matchup, you're not feeling great. But again, the Mew VMAX deck just needs to do its thing. If you draw the right sequence of, you know, Elisa's Sparkle, Power Tablets, all those things, it's hard to stop.
Yeah, Andre actually does not play any disruption cards. The only supporters that are actually in deck are 3 Boss's Orders and 3 Elisa's Sparkle.
Yep.
So that is all we're going to see. No disruption from Andre's side.
All right, only 1 Meloetta this time.
I was about to say, you know, I've never been so scared to look at the prize cards hit the field here, Kyle, but there we go. 1 Meloetta, so still 1 made it into the prize cards, but that is still something to work with here for Andre. So we are starting off on Andre's side, of course, opting to go first here. You know, if you lose the first game, you get to choose whether or not you go first or second, leading into the next game. And going first as a Mew VMAX player is pretty critical as well for you. There are some sneaky things you can do if you do happen to go second, but going first and pulling off battle VIPs and setting up your board state very strong before you could potentially hit a path to the peak or have something kind of get in your way of doing that is very important. So Andre having the option to set everything up is huge here.
Yeah, Mew is one of the decks that actually is fine playing first or second.
Yep.
I think you do prefer to play first in this matchup. Your ideal setup would be attach a Fusion Strike Energy turn 1, then turn 2, you release a Sparkle, get 2 more, and then play the 4th one and just start lining up massive attacks with Meloetta's attack. There is one Fusion Strike Energy prized here, so it's not going to be possible to get all 4 in play, but when you go first, you get, again, that advantage of being able to evolve first. You can target down an Arceus V before it evolves into the V-Star, so it's just such a big deal.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of advantages. And I mean, you're giving your opponent disadvantages as well, not being able to evolve earlier than you, too. So that's kind of huge here. So we are going to see a quick ball. Discarding the, I believe that's the Echoing Horn. Kyle, yep.
Painful to have to throw away these
nice
tech cards early on, but yeah, this is part of the deal when you're playing Mew. When you're playing the Fusion Strike deck, you just have to accept, you know, your first couple turns, you're probably going to have to quick ball, ultra ball away important resources because you need to thin out your hand so you can draw back up with the Fusion Strike system.
Yeah, and I was looking at the hand too, and there's 2 power tablets and then just that Genesect V as well. Oh, actually, that was not a power tablet. That is a Fusion Energy.
Yep.
So now it's just a power tablet in hand for Andre. So using that first Fusion Strike system, that ability for that Genesect.
Is a Cramomatic, though.
Will we see it? Yeah, Cramomatic. I see. It's always off the screen there.
It's a heads.
It is a heads.
All
there
right.
we go.
There is the Battle VIP pass.
That's huge.
All right, so much better start in game number 2 for Andre. Able to fill up the bench. Got the perfect setup here. You got the 2 UV, you got the 3 Genesect V, and then the Meloetta. So this is flawless so far. We'll see a couple more Fusion Strike systems just to try to build up the hand for the next turn, but this is exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's just, it always seems to be, Kyle, that it's always a power tablet burned to the Cramomatic earlier in the game. So definitely just keeping track of that for down the line because...
Another Cramomatic.
Okay, let's see what's discarded to it this time for the Cram and if it hits or if it's not even played. Ooh, Rotom Phone first.
Yeah, I kind of like this. I think Andre's kind of hedging his bets against something like a Marnie plus Path to the Peak. You Rotom Phone, put the card on top of your deck so that when your opponent plays Marnie, you draw into the stadium. Briefly considered using Cramomatic just to get rid of the Battle VIP pass, which is going to be a worthless card as we go on. But thinking better of it, just saying, you know what, there's not much more I need to do this turn. Let's just Rotom Phone, make sure Marnie plus Path to the Peak doesn't ruin my day, and be happy with the first turn.
Yeah, and maybe just saving that Cramomatic as well for a more interesting position you might end up in down the line too. So there we go. We are now on Andresh's side here. That Bidoof in the active position and an Arceus V on the bench here now with that Lightning Energy attached. We see a quick ball here. Seeing what to discard, just debating it, but going with an energy card.
Yeah, pretty nice hand after the 2 mulligans. I think a couple quick balls to work with for Andresh.
Oh, that's good.
And that's really all you're asking for. Get a bunch of Pokemon down, attach energy, set yourself up for the next turn. There's also a Marnie in hand, so maybe trying to go with a Marnie in Path to the Peak to disrupt Andre. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty smooth start. One awkward thing is there is one Bidoof in the prize cards and started with the other one. So there's a chance that this Bidoof gets knocked out.
Oh, wow.
And then with the other one prized, you don't have access to the Industrious Incisors later. I think you're okay with that, though. You really don't want to give up the, 2 prize cards all in a row. Having a 1 prizer gets knocked out isn't the end of the world.
That is definitely true, unless it comes back later with, I mean, how many times have you seen, Kyle, where someone Marnies, but they Marnie themselves
Yeah.
into a bad hand?
Yep.
And you kind of don't have a
Classic.
rescue out of that if you don't have a Bibarel. So there is that, but hopefully that doesn't happen here for Andres, but we shall see. So we did see another quick ball discarding the professor's research. There's the Arceus V, and then we are going to see that Crobat V also hit the bench for that dark asset ability, drawing into even more cards here.
Really digging for path to the peak here. Trying to use this to draw into more cards. Now it's going to be on this Marnie to go look for the path to the peak. You are drawing through more cards in your deck, putting cards that would have been bad on the bottom, so it's nice to still draw through those. But yeah, this is going to be big 5 cards. Of course, we do know Andre put a stadium card on top of the deck, so it won't be vulnerable to path to the peak right away, but still, Andres just wants to be doing this every single turn. Path to the peak, Marnie, force my opponent to have counter stadiums turn after turn. If they ever miss, maybe they just kind of fizzle out for a turn and the advantage swings back to you.
Yeah, just capitalize off of anything like that. Playing to all of your outs is so important. So we are going to see that path to the peak hit on first turn. So definitely where you want to be, even if Andre does have the bump to it. Very important to play to that for sure. We're going to see potentially another quick ball here, discarding a boss's orders actually to the quick ball to search out another basic Pokemon. What do you think Andres is looking for here, Kyle? Maybe that Bidoof?
Yeah, honestly, I think that's what you'd be looking for. If not, probably just another Arceus V. That is going to be your main attacker in the matchup.
It's true.
There's nothing in here like a Galarian Moltres V, any Darkness-type Pokemon. Flying Pikachu isn't really that great in this matchup. You'd much rather just be powering up Arceus over and over. Could also grab something like Lumineon V and build up for the next turn, assuming your opponent's going to counter your stadium, and then you'll have access to Luminous Sign on the next turn. But yeah, I think there's not a whole lot you can do here, but probably was hoping to get down a second Bidoof.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I mean, if you don't happen to check your prize cards or look for the Bidoof, maybe you didn't see that. So, but I mean, still lining up the Lumineon is still a backup plan here, but only one Bidoof in play right now. But as you said, Kyle, sometimes you want that one prizer up in the active so you're not taking a 2 prize knockout, or Andre's not taking that off of you. So just the pass over to Andre here. Andre starting off with a Rotom Phone, looking at those top 5 cards, being able to choose one and put it to the top of the deck. So we'll see which is chosen off of those 5 cards. And you can see both of our players have kind of been tapping the table, and I think that's literally them mapping out the turns in their head with those taps.
This one's an interesting choice. Andre has 2 good cards here. The double Turbo Energy is going to be a way to guarantee an attack. And then there's the Choice Belt to guarantee a knockout on the Arceus V. There's a Boss's Orders in hand. The ideal turn here is Boss's Orders, your opponent's Arceus that has the energy on it, and knock it out. So that's exactly what Andre's going to be lining up. Seems like pretty good odds he'll be able to pull it off because he did put that Rose Tower on top of the deck with the Rotom Phone on the previous turn.
Yeah, the Mew VMAX player skill coming in, coming in here. So we are going to see that switch. So just burning cards here. Rose Tower utilized for that one, and it of course is that double Turbo Energy, so attached straight away. And then we see the first Fusion Strike system.
Yeah, that did find a Mew VMAX. So that's good.
Okay.
But
Yep, that is a piece.
Didn't seem very good. There's a switch in there.
2 Elisa Sparkle as well.
Yeah, it's not the card you want to be playing this turn unless you can play an Escape Rope. You really want to be getting a 2 prize knockout this turn if possible.
Yes, definitely. And supporters are always kind of tricky to have in hand too. No discard ability?
The hand is just completely clogged.
Yeah.
I think the only playable card is Elisa Sparkle.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is that's exactly what I was kind of just saying. When you have supporters in your hand, you're really looking for those ball cards to be able to thin your hand. Ultra Ball discards too, but that is not what we're going to see here because there's no way.
These were maybe the worst cards that Andre could have drawn. They're pretty bad.
All right.
Now,
Yeah, I mean, at least seeing this is kind of the only option here.
Yeah, choosing targets for the Elisa Sparkle. Going to go to the active and the benched Meloetta. And now it's a question of, what do you even attack with this turn? You can attack with the Mute VMAX. It can take a hit since it's got so much HP. Could potentially attack with Mew V with Psychic Leap as well if you wanted to do that. It's a little awkward. So we'll probably see Mew VMAX be the attacker, but this is
that was just a huge whiff.
This is not how Andre wanted this turn to play out.
No, not at all. Not at all. And now Supporter has been used for the turn, so still able to use that next Fusion Strike system, but only for one card, and Supporter was used.
Couldn't find the escape rope.
This is such a tricky situation to be in. So just gonna have to take the knockout on that Bidoof for the one prize card. So still taking a knock, but definitely not what you wanted to happen there for Andre. So now we're back over to Ondrej.
Wow.
Promoting that Crobat V. What happened, Kyle?
Top deck Ultra Ball for the Arceus V-Star. That was the perfect card. Ondrej was thinking about, maybe I use Lumineon V, grab a supporter card. Hopefully that finds me the Arceus V-Star, but nope, just draws the Ultra Ball and
the
just
top decks.
Everything into place.
The top decks have been great for Ondrej here, so that is awesome to see. And there is no path to the peak in play that Ondrej kind of has to debate bumping or anything like that. So would be able to use that ability, that Star Birth ability off of the Arceus V-Star. But of course, sequencing is important. We are going to see the Rose Tower first to see what you draw into before you use the Star Birth ability, because that's also very important.
Yep, and excellent cards drawn off that Rose Tower as well. Finds Professor's Research and another path to the peak. So you can use Star Birth here, grab Double Turbo. I wonder if we'll see a Marnie lined up with this as well. And again, just try to make your opponent miss a single turn. Every turn, if you just keep going path to the peak, Marnie, maybe the first one doesn't work, maybe the second one doesn't work, but eventually it's going to become harder and harder for your opponent to find ways out. And if they miss that one turn, that can be the entire difference in the game.
I'm really wondering if Ondrej will decide to Marnie, because Andre didn't get to do much that last turn. So maybe even just knowing that the hand isn't really good for Andre, maybe it's better for Ondrej to just not Marnie here and maybe just play the research instead and get more cards in hand potentially. So there's a couple options here for Ondrej, but I guess we'll see what happens. There is the Marnie. I mean, the path to the peak coming into play is huge as well, bumping that Rose Tower. And yeah, we are going to see it though, Kyle. Marnieing that hand, so maybe Andre's a little bit saved here. Maybe actually being able to thin the hand, potentially bump that Stadium. And oh wow, the Stadium. Yeah, there we go. So the Rose Tower was drawn off of the Marnie. Of course, Andre only being able to draw into 4, but having the Rose Tower, that's huge, because that's going to unlock those Fusion Strike abilities, which is giant for Andre. So here we go. Ondrej still over here making sure all of the moves. I didn't get actually to see what was drawn off of those 5 cards for Ondrej. Did you, Kyle, see what kind of hand it was?
Not yet, but looks like benching a Flying Pikachu V.
I think there was a boss's order in the hand that I saw. Of course, we see that Flying Pikachu VMAX and Electric Energy.
Just going to see the Trinity Nova charge up the other Arceus V on the bench. Depending on how bad the hand is or what's in there, we could see the Flying Pikachu powered up instead, but I have to imagine that was just benched to have a free retreater for the following turn in case something bad happens.
Yeah, definitely. So deciding on energy here, there was, I think, only 2. Oh, wow. Okay. So only 2 energy off of that Trinity Nova. That is kind of telling. We have seen a lot of discards of the energy, unfortunately, from Ondrej earlier in the match here. So having 2 energy drawn out there and placed onto the Arceus V on the bench. So that 180 damage on that Mew VMAX now. And we are back over to Andre's turn, of course.
Here comes another big Cram-O-Matic.
Yeah. I'm sure feeling much safer, though, having that Rose Tower to be able to bump that Stadium. But let's see how this Cram-O-Matic, oh, maybe? Oh,
yep.
There we go. We are going to see it. Heads or tails, off the table, traditional. There we go. It is going to be a heads for Andre. So being able to search through the deck now, search out any card that Andre wants here. Yeah, eyeing up that choice belt real quick, putting it to the top there for Andre.
Yeah, you got to think a knockout is very much in range for Andre
Yes.
this turn. Maybe on the active Pokemon, at the very least, a boss's orders should be able to be found. But with this Cramomatic, looks like Andre is going to line up some power tablets. Already one in hand, can get a second one. And again, with that Rose Tower countering the path to the peak, he will be able to find the resources to pull off a big enough attack to knock out this Arceus V-Star. And given how poor Andresh's hand looked, this might just be a devastating blow.
Yeah, I am sure. Okay, we do see the Rotom phone here from Andre. You know,
Choice belt. He's not even looking at the rest of the cards.
Yeah, not even looking, which I'm sure Andre's season is just like great.
Yeah.
You know, okay, so obviously you found what you needed there.
Yeah.
And probably knowing that there is potentially that stadium bump as well, because now the Rotom phone is lined up. Because at this point, Andres doesn't know if there is going to be a stadium bump. Andre hasn't played it yet, but there we go. We're going to see it. The Rose Tower come into play. 2 power tablets go down as well. Rose Tower, of course, first sequencing is so important. That choice belt being put onto the Mew VMAX and the active that was set there with Rotom phone, and we're going to see that first Fusion Strike system from Andre. A very skilled and a well-practiced Mew VMAX player is what we're seeing here right now, Kyle.
Definitely. Another Cramomatic.
This one does fail.
Flipping heads would have been way more skillful, in my opinion.
Yeah, way more skillful there. All right, we are going to see another Rotom phone, so a fresh 5 cards here to look at and put one on the top there. What do you think out of those 5 cards, Kyle? What are you seeing here?
I'm thinking the Fusion Strike energy. You know, you just want to get the energy attachment down. If you get the 4th Fusion Strike energy out of the prize cards, it's a huge swing. So
yeah,
if you can attach the 3rd one this turn, get the 4th out of the prize cards, that's basically locking up the game at that point. So yeah, it makes sense to me.
Definitely. All right, so here we go. Just completing this turn. So many cards have been drawn here for Andre, too.
And just to be clear, on the previous turn, when Andre attacked with Cross Fusion Strike, did use Meloetta's attack, not Technoblast, so don't need to have a switching card to reset and put Mew to the bench and then put it back out so that it can attack in consecutive turns, so not going to be an issue.
That actually is a very important clarification, though, because the Technoblast doesn't allow the same Pokemon to be able to attack for the next turn. So normally you'd have to reset that effect and move back and forth. But luckily, that is clarified if anyone was confused about that. All right, so Andre now using all 3 of those abilities on the Genesect Vs. And yep, toggling that attack here, taking the knockout for another 2 prize cards.
Gets the 4th Fusion Strike energy out of the prize cards.
Oh, no. I mean, that's great for Andre, but not great for Andres. That is for sure.
What's also not great is his hand. It does not look very good. I don't think there's even access to an Arceus V-Star. You may have to see the power edge from Arceus V, and at that point, you got to think the game's just about over.
Oh, my goodness. All right, so Andres just moving through the actions here, seeing what can we do. Oh, this is still the hand that we saw off the Marnie, is it not, Kyle?
Yeah, what you were saying before, the Marnie from Andres
thing?
actually ruined his own hand. There is access to Rose Tower.
Maybe
2 cards. Oh, those are not good ones.
Maybe we put some bad luck on this, because, you know, with the Bidoof discussion. And I was like, oh, Vivarol rescues you from bad Marnies.
Was a major difference in this game.
Yeah, definitely. Vivarol is the savior. That is for sure.
So yeah, I think Andres's only play here is to power edge with Arceus V and get the knockout, but that's really not a great place to be because you know for sure that's getting knocked out.
All right, so the path to the peak is put in play to bump that Rose Tower Stadium, but just a lone Pikachu, a flying Pikachu VMAX in the active here. No energies attached, just kind of a sponge at this point in time. Okay, but we do see the retreat, which is great.
Yep, the rarely used power edge for the knockout on the new VMAX.
I was just about to say that.
Usually not a good sign.
Not a good sign indeed, but at least taking the knockout here for that. So Andres is going to be able to draw 3 cards out of the prize cards.
And now the fourth Fusion Strike Energy is in play. Maximum damage potential has been unlocked from that Melodious Echo. And yeah, just gonna knock out this Arceus V. Ondrej is down to 1 prize card. And I don't know if there's anything Ondrej can do here. There's no way to do enough damage to knock out a Mew VMAX. And I don't even think there's a way to really attack. There is a Raihan in his deck, but that means you aren't playing Boss's Orders. So I think Ondrej
There's so much you have to do.
Yeah, I think Ondrej may have locked up game number 2.
I think so too, which would, of course, bring us to a 1-1, and we'd be going into a game 3 for these players. There's still 25 minutes left.
Finally, a third game.
Right? That's true. So we do see that Bidoof. It was taken off of the prize cards, but
I was hoping we'd go out with a bang and just attack with Bidoof.
oh yeah, that would be great to see actually.
Looks like Boss's Orders, hopefully to stall for a turn, and then we'll see the Trinity Charge. I don't even think there's basic energy in the deck to Trinity Charge with, though. I'm just going to pass.
Yeah, that's true. We did see only the 2 energy drawn off the last one.
Pass with the Flying Pikachu VMAX in the active spot, and I think Ondrej knows that this game is pretty much over, but maybe there's some chance that your opponent doesn't have a way to switch out the Genesect.
That is true. Yep, the Flying Pikachu VMAX back into the sponge position.
Yeah, there is a Path to the Peak in play, so there's no access to Fusion Strike system. And Ondrej did burn a lot of switch cards early as well.
I'm trying to eye down the hand here that Ondrej has.
Yeah, obviously, if he had a way to switch, he would just do it.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Just trying to thin out as many cards as possible.
This is actually the deck we're looking at. There is an escape rope in deck. I saw it there.
Yeah, there's an escape rope. There's a double turbo. There's a way to move this Genesect, just not in hand right now.
Yep.
But this may have bought Ondrej some crucial time.
That is very true, Kyle. It's not over till it's over, that's for sure. So we are probably just going to see some thinning here. Of course, when you are able... I mean, we do see the Pumpkaboo in hand from Ondrej, so we'll be able to bump that path to the peak because there is space on the bench.
Ultra Ball's away 2 Boss's Orders.
For Pumpkaboo to come down. Wow. I mean, I guess when you know you're going to bump this path and be able to draw.
I didn't even realize the bench wasn't full.
Yeah, it's not. There is a space there.
Oh, yeah. Well, then it's going to be pretty easy to draw.
I mean,
into a switching card at this point.
It's going to be easy to draw, but I guess we'll see. I mean, I guess there is a chance it could be kind of clunky, but it's pretty low, especially after Ondrej has
There's
thinned.
so few cards left in the deck. It's really easy to...
Thinning with that Ultra Ball was very important. Oh, yeah, there we go. It was the last card drawn off of that Fusion system, and that's going to be it.
So this series is tied at 1-1, and we're going to head into a decisive game 3. Ondrej making the comeback in this one and tying everything up.
Wow. Sure, feeling much better after that match. Saying, you know, okay, everything I need is not in the prize cards, so I can navigate around this for sure. But 22 minutes left on the clock here, going into a game 3 for these players. There will not be a tie. We will have a conclusion to this, of course. So one of these players that you're seeing on the screen right now are going to be heading into our top 4. So the stakes are so high right now. Kyle, the pressure is on. I'm sitting here still wondering, what if that Marnie wasn't played, you know? I'm sure Ondrej is too, which is...
What if that Bidoof wasn't in the prize
What if
cards?
that Bidoof, yeah, exactly.
That really was a turning point in the game.
It was, it definitely was. But it happens that way sometimes, and we are just setting up for a game 3 here. So both the players table shuffling here, making sure they have the maximum shuffle capability. Don't want any crazy prize cards. Hopefully they get lucky here.
Yep, this is the intense wait to shuffle up for game number 3. It's all down to this. One of these players will advance to the top 4, keep their dreams alive of becoming world champion this year.
I'm nervous. And I'm not even on there right now.
All you're just hoping is, please draw a good hand.
But I mean, as you said, Kyle, the Mew VMAX is, I guess, technically a little bit favored here in this match, but really it can go any way, as we saw in the first game with what happened there. But, you know, I'm sure Ondrej as well, knowing André is a very experienced VMAX player.
Yeah.
So Andre's going to play to the outs. I mean, in the game 1 that we saw too, André was even attaching to the Genesect V. Like, I know what my Pokemon do. I know what I can get around here, and I know all my options. So there is that. For Ondrej.
Like we do have a damaged sleeve for Ondrej, so gonna switch that out, make sure there's no marked cards or anything like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes just the wear and tear of shuffling your cards all day. Some of them get bent or nicked up here and there.
Okay, here's a question for you, Kyle. Do you prefer a fresh pack of sleeves before you go into a tournament, or do you kind of wear them in a little bit?
I think completely fresh is a little risky because they get a little slippery and they slide all over the place.
Happened. That was my first mistake, and
Yeah.
I can't even tell you how many times I dropped my entire deck all over my lap because my sleeves were slippery.
Yeah, you got to shuffle them a little bit before you get to the tournament. But yeah, I think new is the way to go, but you can't just like sleeve up your cards and then head to round 1. Otherwise, your cards are just going to be fumbling all over the table.
Yeah, you can. It's just not going to be a pretty sight, that's for sure, as I learned the hard way.
Yep.
So there's the hot tip of the day from your casters here.
Yep.
Shuffle up your cards a bit before you go into a tournament. But yeah, definitely bringing extra sleeves too is very important to make sure you can repair those damaged sleeves with just a new sleeve. So that's great. Oh man, the pressure is on here, Kyle.
Yep. For Ondrej, definitely going to choose to go first in the 3rd game. You're just hoping to get down Arceus V and Energy, maybe a path to the peak, but a pretty simple first turn. And if you're André, you're hoping for the exact opposite. You're hoping to do 1,000 things. You want to burn through your deck. You want to play Elisa's Sparkle, attack with Meloetta, get a knockout. So this is going to be 2 different styles of play to start off the 3rd game. And I think Ondrej trying to figure out which Pokemon to start with.
I'm actually curious if you know, Kyle, are both of these players, were they both day 2 players?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
coming from day 2.
The only player who made it from day 1 was Andrew Estrada.
Oh, okay. So all day 2 players here now.
Yep. Day 2 was expanded a bit this year. More players auto-qualified for day 2 than in previous years. So that may have factored in as well, but yeah.
All right, let's check out these prize cards here for both players.
Not bad. Just one power tablet, no Fusion Strike Energy. Yeah, lots of quick ball.
Yeah, a lot of ball search in the prize cards, though.
All right, so in game 3,
we're getting started here.
Ondrej opted to start with Hisuian Decidueye V.
Wow.
Whoa, just gonna attach an energy to it. There's a path to the peak, which could be a saving grace, but this is devastating.
What? Okay.
Okay, this is a huge Cramomatic. This could be a game-deciding flip. It's Tails!
Oh my gosh, it's Tails.
André does not have a way to bounce the path to the peak.
Oh my goodness, we do see a Battle VIP pass from André, but there's nothing in hand, as Kyle just said, to bounce that path. That
could have just decided the entire game.
A coin flip.
Yeah.
Classic for the
If he's able to search for a Rose Tower, it's very likely we see Elisa's Sparkle attachment, and this Hisuian Decidueye V goes down. It's got a weakness to Psychic.
You know why that's even more likely, Kyle? Because there's literally 2 Battle VIP pass in hand.
Yeah, exactly. We would have seen...
We would have seen so much happen.
A really lengthy turn, yeah. But Tails, nothing happens. That path to the peak, bailing Ondrej out here, even through a horrible opening turn.
That is probably rough. But, I mean, Andre's still keeping the composure here. I mean, when you think about it, looking at a Hisuian Decidueye with an energy attached on the other side, still a rough position for Ondrej to be in. So André just taking that Tails and rolling with it. No path, or sorry, no bump to the path to the peak. But I don't, what is the last card in hand?
It's a switch, and he's got nothing basically. Silver Lining has an item card in hand, so Cramomatic is a live top deck.
But the top deck, living off the top deck now is definitely not where you want to be. That is for sure. That is so scary, actually.
Double turbo going on to the Hisuian Decidueye V.
And we're actually, the Bibarel is in play too now for Ondrej.
Draw 2 cards off of that. I think debating
Robats in hand.
using a boss's orders, you can hunt down the, going after the Genesect V. You play the Crobat just to draw one extra card. No, oh, draws the V-Star.
My goodness.
Are we going to see Hisuian Decidueye V-Star, or are we just going to see the Mountain Hunt to search out 2 cards?
That is true. There is some options here, but Andres actually just hard drawing into that that V-Star is pretty wild. You know, the Decidueye is not really something you ever really expect in this matchup to see, but when that is what you're having to start with, that's what you have to roll with. So, oh, here we go.
Just going conservatively, grabbing 2 cards with that Mountain Hunt attack. Probably going to find an Arceus V and start setting up what is supposed to be the real attacker in this matchup.
This top deck.
This is everything. If
This
Andre
top
can
deck.
top deck a Pumpkaboo, a Quick Ball,
A Stadium.
a Rose Tower, this game could still swing wildly into his favor. But if not, his turn is just going to be nothing.
Oh my goodness, this is so tense, Kyle.
Of course, the most entertaining top deck would be a Cramomatic.
Oh my gosh, that would. That absolutely would. And that would be, wow. This is going to be intense.
So Andre's fate riding on this top card of his deck. What is it going to be?
Sometimes you just fall into this situation when you're playing Mew VMAX. Sometimes you high roll, sometimes you low roll. Here we go.
It's
Oh
a Mew
my
VMAX.
goodness. Oh,
Pass.
that hurts to see, Kyle. Just the pass over back to Ondrej. Ondrej now able to get an Arceus V down. That Mountain Hunt definitely paying off. Balancing out this a little bit here.
Yeah, and
Hopefully
now
able to just stabilize and kind of go back into the normal strategy here. I mean, you do still have this Hisuian Decidueye, now evolving it into the Hisuian Decidueye V-Star, which I don't even think we have seen at all being played in this tournament so far.
Yeah,
it's in decks.
it's in 3 of the top 8 decks.
It is.
Does have the Somersault Feathers attack. You can discard up to 3 cards from your hand, up to 3 energy cards from your hand. Does 30 more for each card you discarded, so it's not even going to be easy to get a knockout with this attack. Although he does have 2 energy cards to discard.
My goodness.
That Genesect V is going to go down.
Hisuian Decidueye pulling its weight here in this matchup. Oh my gosh. What
Power Tablet is the draw.
unconventional way to see this deck played, but it is playing out here on the screen right now.
Agonizing
The Power
for Andre.
Tablet. Ah, every single top deck you draw, you're just hoping you're getting what you need, and not seeing it there is so devastating. Pass back to Ondrej here.
The window closes with each passing turn.
That Arceus V-Star being put into play. Of course, the Path to the Peak is there, so no ability here, Starbirth ability, but at this point, Ondrej is happy, very happy that Path to the Peak is in play, because that is the only thing standing in Andre's way here right now from the draw support.
Another
Just the knock.
Somersault Feathers for the knockout, and one more top deck. It is a double turbo energy. That is going to allow Mew VMAX to attack and get a knockout here and get 2 prize cards.
Wow, Andre keeping it alive here.
And an Ultra Ball off the prize cards. That can get a
Thank
Pumpkaboo.
goodness. Okay, wow. So we could potentially still see some comeback here from Andre.
It's going to be difficult because Ondrej is down to 3 prize cards at this
I
point.
can't believe it.
All you have to do is knock out a Mew VMAX, and that's it. You're moving on to the top 4. So it's going to be a long road ahead for Andre. But yes, at least now he's able to play. He's got a chance.
Ultra Balling 2 Paths of the Peak away.
Wow.
Yeah, that is huge. 2 Paths of the Peak are gone, but Ondrej obviously needing whatever else is in hand there right now. So being able to search out any Pokemon from the deck right now for Ondrej, going with, of course, that our Arceus V hitting the bench now, needing something to be able to charge up onto from that Trinity Nova off of the active Arceus V Star. So definitely needing to put down another potential attacker. There is still Crobat V in hand as well, but of course Path to the Peak is in play. We do see the Bibarel engine coming in clutch, not stopped by that Path to the Peak. So still able to draw a couple more cards there. Just gonna see the swing.
Yeah, and I think Ondrej has the 1-2 punch lined up. You do 180 damage with the Trinity Nova. Even the Power Edge is enough on the next turn. There's multiple boss's orders in hand. Andre can potentially play around, losing next turn with copying Psychic Leap and putting the Mew VMAX back into the deck, but it feels like that's just delaying the inevitable at this point.
Wow.
And it's all got to start off in not a great place. Gonna have to Ultra Ball, grab the Pumpkaboo, probably play your hand down. The only Fusion Strike system for 3 cards. This is just devastating for Andre. The pass to the peak was absolutely locking him down. There just wasn't much he could do. It all goes down to that one Cramomatic.
Yeah, it really was. It was all put onto that Cramomatic, and it was a tails.
But hey, when you're playing Mew VMAX,
you kind of expect it, right?
That's the game you accept to play. Sometimes
yeah.
Cramomatic, you flip heads, you go flawlessly. Sometimes you flip tails and you fizzle out.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we're seeing here right now. So even the Pumpkaboo being played to be able to bump that path to the peak is just leaving that Mew VMAX still with all that damage on it. It's just so sad to see, but we are at least going to see that fusion system here, fusion strike system off the Genesect V.
Decent couple of cards. These are all cards you can play, which is very important. Choice Belt, got another Genesect, and then an energy card you can play down as well.
Yep.
Andre, #1 card you need to find is a Mew V this turn. You need to be able to Psychic Leap at the very least.
That is very, oh, there we go. Mew V off of that second Fusion Strike system here.
Yep.
So that being put into play.
I know several Elisa's Sparkle are gone, but playing one this turn would be very beneficial as well.
Yeah, most definitely. I don't even think we have really talked about that Psychic Leap move, Kyle, because we don't see it used super often. Usually we're just seeing giant knockouts here from the Mew VMAX, but that Psychic Leap is very important as well, too, because it shuffles the Pokemon back into the deck, which would get rid of all of those damage counters that are on the board state right now. So still, you know, Ondrej only has 3 prize cards left to take, but obviously you want to take that off the table here.
We see one more Fusion Strike system getting up to 5 cards in hand. So nice recovery here from Andre. I think probably looking for an Elisa's Sparkle if possible. But no, doesn't look like that'll be the case this turn. So now there's going to be an interesting decision. It's almost for sure we're going to see the Psychic Leap. Oh, an interesting card. Echoing Horn was drawn. Okay, nope. Not going to be played this turn. So an interesting decision. Which Pokemon do you promote this turn? You could send out the Pumpkaboo and just say, all right, I'm going to give up 1 prize card. I think you should send up Genesect V and make it as awkward as possible for your opponent. Make them retreat and find another Arceus V-Star to get a knockout. But it's really tough.
It looks like promoting the Pumpkaboo, though. Going with kind of debating it is what it looks like, but choosing the Pumpkaboo, putting that in the active here. So Ondrej going to be able to take another.
This one's rough because, well, I mean,
V-Star's there, though.
Boss's Orders is going to get you no matter what.
That's very true.
Yeah. So now Ondrej just lining everything up, wondering, how can I lose this game?
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah, at this point, when you're in a dominant position, you should be asking, what are ways
what could go wrong?
What are ways my opponent could win the game? How do I make sure that that doesn't happen? Because it's very clear that I am in a position to win. What can I do to prevent my opponent from disrupting that? And there is a Boss's Orders to bring up the Mew V. Will it be a 2-prize knockout? And this is 1 prize card away.
Wow.
Ondrej moving on to the top 4 and eliminating Andre.
And Andre just seeing it slip from the hands here. Just devastating. Both of these players started with such unconventional starts. I mean, not really on Andre's side. Actually, Andre had a really great hand to start, but just being blocked by that path to the peak was devastating there. Now having to make the decision, okay, what do I even put up here? Ondrej only has 1 more prize card to take, but I need to start off my turn and see what I can do to sort of stabilize from here, if there's anything I can do.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I do think getting that second Arceus V-Star in play is basically checkmate.
Yeah, I think so too.
Starbirth has not been used yet. You know that's just an on-board thing that can happen. Starbirth for the game-winning Boss's Orders. So as long as Ondrej has a Boss's Orders in deck, I mean, that's going to be the game. I don't even know if André can play around the fact that, you know, the Arceus V-Star on the bench can do 200 damage. That's just going to knock out a Genesect V. So you can do all you can, but
there's a lot going on here, and André is going to be playing it out. But like you said, Kyle, I think it really is a checkmate position, unfortunately. And if that's the case, we will see the only new VMAX that was in our top 8 be knocked out.
Sure seems like it. There's no Oricorio or anything like that to reduce damage. We are going to see the Fusion Strike system draw up to 5 cards. Still need to find an Elisa's Sparkle to even do an attack here.
Looking at the hands.
Feels like André drew into an important card 1 turn too late in this game.
Definitely. Rotom Phone first here, still sequencing out the turns. 5 cards, choosing 1 to put to the top. Did you see what that card was, Kyle?
I think a Cram-O-Matic.
Okay, another Cram-O-Matic. There is already 1 in hand as well that André was eyeing up before, but decided to do the Rotom Phone first here. So now has 2 Cram-O-Matics, 1 on the top of the deck. All right, so we are going to see that Fusion Strike system into that second Cram-O-Matic to just Cram-O-Matic away a Cram-O-Matic.
Good luck to do a Cram-O-Matic.
Yeah, that is very true. Because obviously it's the heads here now for André. So here we go, putting those fusion energies onto the Pokemon, but this is it.
Gonna go out with a bang with the Techno Blast for the knockout, but Arceus V-Star comes in and can simply use Trinity Nova for 200 damage, and Ondrej is going to advance to the top 4 here, even as a boss's orders to take down the Meloetta, and that's gonna be it.
Wow.
All over. Arceus V-Star moves on to the top 4.
Ondrej, I'm sure feeling, look at this, so relieved, I'm sure, just a sigh there. And oh my goodness, and André, of course, I'm sure is absolutely devastated here. That was probably one of the most unfortunate ways to go. You know, it all came down to that 1 Cram-O-Matic flip, and that game could have been so exponentially different, especially because Ondrej started with such, like I said, an unconventional start. You know, that Hisuian Decidueye being the active there. That was just such a wild game to watch, Kyle, and such an intense game 3.
Yeah, Ondrej put all the faith into Pass to the Peak, and it paid off. That was the deciding card in the matchup. Pass to the Peak stuck there for just too long, and André was unable to draw a way to get rid of it. Just couldn't draw into anything, and that game was potentially just a coin flip. Heads you win, tails you lose, and André flipped tails that time.
Really, all 3 of those games were so intense. We saw so much variance in the prize cards that came into a huge factor. There was a huge decision to be made with that Marnie versus the research sort of thing as well. So there was a lot of pivotal moments in all of those matchups, and it was really intense to watch. A very entertaining 3 games to watch, definitely. But I mean, congratulations still to both of our players for even making it to top 8. Of course, Ondrej, huge accomplishment, and Ondrej going into the top 4, which is so intense, Kyle. And we are going to see our top 4 today as well coming up. Are you excited?
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing better than this. At this point, I do believe all of our North American players have been eliminated. So it's going to be up to the rest of the world to take home the World Championships this year. But yeah, there's still 1 more exciting top 8 match. There's still 2 more top 4 matches. There's still so many epic moments to be had here today. Tense games coming